Are you struggling to get your team on the same page or wondering why some people don't seem to hear your ideas? You might be missing the key to internal influence, and it starts with understanding your natural leadership voice. Welcome to the Revenue Roadmap Podcast, the show that is all about helping family law firms grow revenue, improve team alignment, and ultimately increase profitability. Whether you're a solo attorney or managing multiple locations, this show brings insights you can implement today. I'm Tyler Dolph, CEO of RocketClicks, a digital marketing agency helping family law firms drive more leads and maximize profits through data-driven strategy. Today, I have Anthony Karls and Matt Hacker with me. Anthony is the co-founder of Sterling Lawyers, a 32-attorney family law firm, and now the president of our agency, RocketClicks. Together, we're exploring what it takes to build a high-performing family law business from the inside out. And Matt Hacker is an expert in leadership development and team communication, and is our own giant leadership implementer here at our business, RocketClicks. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this podcast is part of our leadership series focusing on a system called the Giant Leadership Model. The Giant Leadership Model is a people-focused leadership system designed to help individuals and teams become more effective by increasing self-awareness, communication, and influence. That's directly from their website. It emphasizes the concept of know yourself to lead yourself, which honestly is the more you can learn about your personal strengths, the profile and personality that you have, and how you can leverage that to work within a team, the better leader you're going to become. And also, the more you can learn about your team's strengths and weaknesses, obviously, the better you can all work together. We've been utilizing Giant at our two businesses, the agency and the law firm, for the last few years. And I'll tell you, it has fundamentally changed how we communicate and how effectively we actually work together because we understand each other on a deeper level. So today we're going to talk about one of the 5 voices, which is the connector voice, which happens to be my voice. So I'm a big fan of this. We're going to talk to Matt and Tony about the strengths, the weaknesses, how you can leverage a connector voice within your firm. So I hope you enjoy. For those of you joining us for the first time, this podcast is part of our leadership series focusing on the Giant Leadership Model. The Giant Leadership Model is a people-focused leadership system designed to help individuals and teams become more effective by increasing self-awareness, communication, and influence. It emphasizes the concept know yourself to lead yourself, meaning that leaders must first understand their own tendencies, strengths, and weaknesses before they can effectively lead others. Giant's approach is simple, visual, and practical, making leadership development accessible for anyone, from executives and law firm owners to frontline employees and paralegals. It's about creating leaders worth following who build strong, self-aware, and high-performing teams. Just a little anecdote, we've been utilizing Giant Leadership here for the last few years, both at the agency RocketClicks and our law firm Sterling Lawyers. But if you'd like to find out more about Giant, you can go to 5voices.com. That's the number 5voices.com. Today, we are diving into the connector voice, which is a personal favorite of mine since I am a connector. What it is, how it shows up in your leadership, and what it means for family law professionals who want to lead more effectively, build stronger teams, and close the gap between communication and execution. Gentlemen, excited to dive into this. I feel like we should start with what is the connector voice? Tony, you want to take us through that?
Why doesn't Matt take us through it? Because he's also a connector.
So I'm like,
this one's a little puppy dog.
personal to me too. I'm like over here just like waiting to talk, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. I love talking. Yeah. So this is probably Tony's worst nightmare, being stuck on a podcast with two connectors. So connectors we are people. Like, we thrive on relationships. We value networks more than anything else, and we're also the ones that like to bring a lot of the energy to the party, whether that's just a meeting, whether that's in a functional event. We are champions of creating collaborative environments and inviting people along the way to pull people together. This person's good at this person's good at this. Let's pull everybody together so they're both good at both things, right? So we also are the types of people that are we know somebody for everything. So it's like, hey, do you know anybody that could blank? If you have that question in your mind, ask a connector, and the answer is probably going to be, oh yeah, I know, I worked with Joe at a previous organization 3 years ago, and let me talk to his cousin. And like, we know people, right? That's the biggest thing that I think connectors strive on.
Yeah, 100%. We affectionately here at our agency call it golden retriever energy. That's the fun connector voice profile. We're always excited to see people and interact with them, which is not everyone, which I didn't know. That took a little while for me to figure out. I think the cool thing about Giant and going through the platform is understanding the strengths, the weaknesses, the tendencies of each individual voice. If we were to think about what makes a connector great, Matt, what do you think that looks like, in your opinion?
That's a great question. So connectors typically, I mean, obviously they're going to bring a lot of energy, right? And for some people, that's not great, but connectors are bringing people together, which is one of our biggest, I think, strengths. We're also extremely positive people. By nature, positivity is at the core of who we are. Like, the glass is always half full. It's not half empty. The glass is actually half full. We also typically connectors have a high level of emotional intelligence. So we know how to read the room really well. We know how to read teams really well. And we can correlate that back to running and managing a business. Because at the end of the day, like, connectors are people first, mindset oriented individuals.
Yeah, I'd love to know the percentage of sales or marketing people that have a connector voice profile. I gotta imagine it's pretty high.
Yes.
But Tony, on the law side,
Probably really.
did you find a lot of connectors in building Sterling, or was that a voice maybe you didn't see as often as you do here at RC?
On our intake and non-attorney sales team, yes, for sure. Our sales manager over there, Mary Sankey, she's a connector, and she brings the same type of energy to that team. And it's super important because these are like what your intake team, who's answering the original phone calls, and if you're working with a non-attorney sales team, a lot of what they need is they need that energy every morning, so they feel more uplifted. They feel more. They can help the team remember what we're doing and why it's purposeful and why it's important and all of that stuff. And they bring that energy, they bring that fun to a hard job, because these are challenging conversations, especially when you're hearing stories about domestic violence and different things happening between parents, and just they're hard things to hear. So having a connector that can like emotionally read a team member or the group is really important, because it will help the team perform way better. It doesn't have to be the leader, but having a couple on the team makes a big difference, because when you don't, it feels down. It feels less. It feels like, this is a party I don't want to be at. Even though I really don't want all that energy, I do want all that energy. I just don't want to be the one that has to give it. I like to watch it. I'm a creative pioneer, so that's like not me at all. So, but there's a big difference between how teams function when you have all of the different leadership voices in a team.
Yeah, we go deep onto this Giant series and talking about each profile, but I think something really interesting is how each profile works together. And so, for example, we always talk about how connectors will get energy from meeting and communicating and dialoguing with people. Whereas some of the other profiles, it takes energy. They can do it, right? We're all able to communicate, but in doing so, it's either taking energy or giving energy. And so having a connector on the team that can help give some of that energy and move things along is totally important. Matt, how about you? Continuing to think about the strengths of a connector, where do you see it really benefiting our business here today, and also our clients, law firm clients who we work with?
I mean, it's a really big thing when it comes to like pairing. I would say like in helping each other get better. Like I'm wearing a hat right now, lifelong transformation. Connectors are a lot of connectors are not happy with where they are because they want to keep getting better. They want other people around them to keep getting better, right? And that just doesn't stop. It's like, I know the thing, my hands are going to be washed with it. It's no, like the connector is going to help you with that, like 1% better today than we were yesterday. 1% better today than you were yesterday, because they're keep pushing people because they like to see other people succeed, just because that's a feeling of accomplishment for them. I know, Tyler, you've said before, like one of the greatest feelings that you have is seeing other people on your team succeed through life, through work, growing as individuals. And that's what a connector is all about, because they're all about the people.
100%.
Yeah.
Love it.
I mean, they're also going to be really important with, they're going to want to, they're going to get energy from, they're going to enjoy, and people are going to enjoy the energy from them on initiatives that are coming from the firm. Now, does everybody that hears a connector trust everything they're saying? The answer is actually no. So like pairing good voices together is really important here, because connectors are, like you guys said, they're eternal optimists. Everything's going to work. Everything's going to be great. It's always going to be the best. So a lot of that. So just like knowing what are some of the strengths and what are some of the like preconditioned experiences people have with people of different voice types is important when you're rolling things out.
100%. I think I always try to make the joke that I like aced the personality test. There's no winner or loser, because each voice has a unique set of strengths. But with those strengths also comes some pitfalls from time to time. And I think I'm the poster child for some of these pitfalls. But Matt, why don't you take us through what a connector struggles with? Where do you see us fall down a little bit, or what do we need our other voice peers to help us out with?
I would say one of the biggest things I would say is sometimes we need our other voice peers to bring us back to reality. We have a natural tendency to not say no. So we need those other voices to say, no, like this is not the most important thing for us to be doing right now. Let's focus here instead. Because if we as a connector continuously just say yes to things, should we do this? Heck yeah, should we do that? We should do that. Should we do this? Yeah, we should do that too. How? Well, we'll figure it out. Like it's going to be just fine. That leads to a slew of different problems. It could lead to overcommitment, which means that we miss deadlines, that, we get okay at a bunch of different things and not become like experts at any one thing. So there's a lot of different ways that we can continue to improve. But we have a natural tendency to kind of overpromise and sometimes underdeliver on those promises. And thankfully, we have peers surrounded around us to kind of ground us in those moments and kind of bring us back to reality.
Yeah, I think my personal experience is I definitely love to please the people I work with and for. And so I tend to say yes to things or commit to things, but I struggle with actually getting to the finish line. So having accountability, having someone there that can say, hey, you commit to this, or hey, I need this done, or hey, remember you're going to do this thing for me, really helps me move things forward, even though it may not be my favorite thing in the world to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the next episodes we're going to be doing is on the Guardian voice. Really good pairing is pair a connector with a Guardian, because you'll get the future orientation and relational version with or voice orientation with the connector, and you'll get some present analytical thinking with the guardian, and that becomes a really magical pair, where they both can counteract each other's overuse of strengths. So.
100%. I think being a connector and having to experience life in this role has forced us to figure out tips and tricks, right, on how we get things done or how we're able to be successful. And all the roles, I'm sure, do this. But if you have a connector on your team, Matt and Tony, how are you leading them? How are you understanding kind of where they're at in their connector journey? Are they mature? Are they immature in their sort of their voice? And what are you doing to help move them forward and lead them in your firm?
Yeah, I would say, one of the biggest things that a connector wants is they want to collaborate with other people. Like they want to be working with other people. They want to hear other people's ideas. They want to bring their own ideas to the table when it comes to, trying to problem solve something. But they love working with people. One of the biggest things that they want to do is feel heard. It's not from like an egotistical standpoint, but it's because that a lot of connectors think that they have the best way of doing something. And why? Because they've talked to like 3 other people or 4 other people about how it should be done. Doesn't mean they're always right, but they always want to be heard, and then they always want to be appreciated. Again, it's not an egotistical thing. It's just they like hearing other people tell them, "Hey, you did a really good job," or "That was really awesome," or "You really went above and beyond. Thank you for doing that." That is something that a connector thrives on. It's also why they probably give that back to other people as often as they do, is because, treat other people how you want to be treated. The old saying that, probably heard a long time ago. Connectors really take that to heart, and they respond well to people like engaging with them on that relational standpoint.
Yeah, I would say the one thing I've learned about that statement in particular, that treat people how they want to be treated, is actually the more you learn about the different voices, you actually should treat people how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated, because you probably don't want the same thing, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Tony, how about you? Tony and I get the unique experience of working very closely together and being dramatically different voices. How have you worked with me personally to keep us moving and get things done?
I think we spend a lot more time where our relationship has continued to grow is when we spend time exploring ideas together, and kind of like whether complex or their frustrations or whatever they are. Those are like opportunities for creating bridges. That's not true with all all personality types. I try to send notes of appreciation to Tyler whenever I'm really bad at it, so I don't do it probably don't do it as often as I should. But that's another thing. As I've gotten more mature in my own voice and like trying to be more present and care about relational networks and those types of things. Try to do more of that, because that makes a big difference for some people. Like for me, I don't really want to feel recognized. It makes me feel really weird, honestly. That's not something I want. It actually doesn't fill my cup up. It makes me like, I just kind of want to put my camera on off and turn my mic on mute and just, thanks, but I'll just leave the meeting. So it's very different. So your point on treat people how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated, I think is really apt. And I think, when you do good pairing, like it creates a lot of really cool opportunity, because there's things that you see and things that the other person sees that are blind spots for the other. And, Tyler, you're a real relationship person. So like you've always been a super relationship person and a very feel person. And I'm very process oriented. I'm super analytical. So us together make a pretty lethal team, because now we still do relationships, and it pulls me into relationships, and we do all the logic and analytical stuff, and I pull you in that direction, kind of frustrate you with processes and procedures and SOPs and stuff like that. But it's together, it makes a really strong team. So
Yeah, I mean that is the overarching message of this leadership model that we've adopted at both of our businesses, is that everyone has their own unique strengths, their own unique voice, and by using our combined strengths, we can go much further. And I'll tell you, for our listeners, this doesn't stop at the office. I've actually incorporated this practice at home. My wife is not a connector; she's actually a guardian, and it's changed the way I talk to her and I ask things of her, and I give her feedback and she gives me feedback, because we have this awareness of our voice order. And so I think if you're listening to this and you want to look into how you can leverage the giant system, truly understanding yourself has got to be paramount. It's got to be number one. Who am I? What am I good at? What do I need help with? And then how do I leverage and understand my team on a deeper level, so we can go further together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I want to dive a little bit deeper into voice order. We've talked about a couple different voices today. We're focusing on the connector, but not everyone is just one voice, right? We're complex organisms and have lots of thoughts and feelings. So, Matt or Tony, give us some more perspective on sort of this first voice order, in contradiction with the other voices that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, so there's 5 voices in total, right? At the end of the day, every single one of us is a combination of all 5 of those voices. It's not that I'm only 3 of the voices and Tyler's only 4 of the voices and he's all 5 voices. No, we're all 5 voices, but our first voice is just the one that we have more natural tendencies to kind of think in and speak from. It's where we have more natural leadership, I guess, tendencies coming from our first voice. And for connectors like myself and for Tyler, that means we like to lead with relationships, inspiration, motivation, helping people get from point A to point B, by not just physically doing that, but like a lot of what connectors do too is like the mental work, because mental work is just as hard as some of that physical work is. And us being eternal optimists, like Tony said, we help people get there even though they don't think that they can.
Tony, you've had a lot of experience with law firms and our law firm clients and understanding their voice order. Are you seeing the same thing at the firms you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the best outcomes of implementing Giant was everybody seeing like not everybody's like them. It like just creates this like massive opportunity for awareness. It grows your unknown box pretty large, but now you know it's large. So you can, if you understand your first order voice and what your natural gifts and tendencies are, the positives and the negatives, and those around you, leading change and executing different processes and innovating the business becomes a lot easier. Because like for me, I'm really good 0 to 1. Like I can create something 0 to 1, but if I hand that over to a guardian or nurturer, they're going to be super upset because it's a 3-step process to Tony. It's a 30-step process to them. And I skipped, 2 through 9 and I got 10, I got 1, 10 and 20. Those are the steps that I got. And I hand it off and they're like, this, what about this? What about this? And how, people are going to feel this way about this and that way about that. So involving them in the process and actually having them from a tactical implementation perspective, lead the communication, and like from an inspiration and vision perspective, having a pioneer or connector do that just puts you in like, you're all leveraging each other better, and kind of getting the team to see that, especially getting different attorneys to understand their own individual strengths and like, why is Holly such a rainmaker? Why can't I be? Like, what is that? She's great at networking. She loves networking. She's at all of the different events. Everybody knows her. She's always the life of the party. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's why I can't do it, because like that's not me. If I want that to be me, like I'm gonna have to work extra hard, or I could probably pair up with her because she's gonna miss details. She's gonna do, she's going to potentially move too fast. So there's things that are positives and negatives. And learning that, I think, is super important.
100%. Okay, I want to close this out, Tony, and put you on the spot here. You're building an Avengers, law firm team. You want the best voices in the right seats. If I'm a law firm owner, I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, okay, well, what voice do I need in my paralegal spot? What voice do I need in my, sales team spot? So if you had to just say, okay, well, based on our experience, we think connectors should live here, guardians live here, and knowing that, we can all live everywhere and do all the things, what do you like from a voice order per role?
So, I mean, it's gonna depend on what you need. So, like if I need to make more sales in my business from an attorney perspective, like I'm gonna want a connector or a pioneer there. If that's not an issue, and I need to process more work, I'm probably, especially in family law, I'm going to look more towards a nurturer or a guardian. They're going to be more present, and they're going to be more analytical. They're going to care. They're going to think more about how the experience of the whole practice is going in the now, because connectors are more future oriented. So like sometimes the now feelings aren't as acute to them. And like I would say, the pairing between the attorney and the paralegal is important. So like I probably wouldn't put a connector paralegal with a connector attorney because details are just not going to be done well.
They're not going to get very much done.
Like that's not going to be great. But having a connector paralegal with a guardian attorney is going to be really good because we have an example of that in our Appleton office. She is an amazing, highly detailed attorney, but she's not like super emotional. It's just like all transaction, and she just grinds and grinds and grinds, and she crushes it. Her paralegal brings her life and brings her positivity, and like when she interacts with the clients, she provides that to the clients as well. So it really depends on the pairing. And I think the best opportunity is having mature voices throughout the org that are kind of representative of the individual groups or departments that you have in your org, so that you can get the best out of the team is probably the best scenario. But it depends on your size and depends on that. Yep. Depends on who's your first voice order. Like, what are you as a law firm owner? And like, okay, now how do we think about pairing?
Yeah, I mean, what I hear you saying is that you need a diverse set of voices on your team, and that if you can be strategic about who you're teaming up with, you can be more effective and efficient overall.
Yeah, like right now on for Rocket Clicks, like you can't really hire for this. It's hard to hire for it. You can leverage some of the assessments in the hiring process, but like our weakness right now is we don't have a lot of nurture voices on our team, which means we're not as focused as we could be on how people are experiencing what we're doing and how we're changing as an organization, because that's what they're really highly attuned to. So got a lot of logic, got a lot of future orientation, got a lot of let's move fast and break things, but we're also,
How's that affecting the org right now in this moment?
How is that impacting team member morale?
Yeah, 100%. Guys, this has been awesome. Love, obviously, diving into connector voice, near and dear to my heart. But we're going to continue this series. We're going to keep talking through each of the giant voices. Like I mentioned before, if you're interested in learning more about Giant, make sure to visit 5voices.com. And otherwise, we will see you next time on the Revenue Roadmap. If you found today helpful and you enjoyed listening and learning more about the connector voice, you will love our next episode. We're going to dive into the guardian voice, which is, I'll tell you, dramatically different than the connector voice. It is a deep dive into the most risk-aware and systems-focused leadership style. So click over here to listen to that episode and have a wonderful day.